Now let's take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. First off, Nigeria's defense headquarters has confirmed that 16 military officers will face trial following allegations of plotting to overthrow the government in October 2025. The confirmation is contained in an official statement by the Director, Defense Information Semaila Uba, after the conclusion of investigations and the submission of the report to the Presidency. Arise News correspondent Ferdinand Duroha reports.
On October 4, 2025, the Defense Headquarters, through its former Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tuko Gusau, announced the arrest of some military officers over alleged indiscipline and breach of service regulations. However, there were reports that the officers were arrested in connection with a coup plot. Now, more than 3 months after the military denied the reports of a coup, it has reversed itself with a statement announcing the conclusion of investigations, the submission of findings, and a proposed trial of the officers. The DHQ stated that a comprehensive investigation process was conducted in accordance with established military procedures and carefully examined all circumstances surrounding the conduct of the affected personnel. Accordingly, a number of officers who allegedly participated in the plots to overthrow the government have been identified and will be formally arraigned before appropriate military judicial panel to face trial in accordance with the Armed Forces Act and other applicable service regulations. According to the DHQ, measures being taken are purely disciplinary and part of ongoing institutional mechanisms to preserve order, discipline, and operational effectiveness within the ranks. Since independence, Nigeria has suffered several coups during military and civilian regimes. While some have been successful, many were not, with some foiled at the planning stages. The last coup attempt was purportedly carried out in 1995 during the administration of Sani Abacha, with the plotters sentenced to serve jail terms. Analysts say the alleged coup plot may have gained steam following the recent rise in coup attempts across Africa. Historically, punishment for military coup or attempted coup in Nigeria has involved severe penalties, including court-martial, execution by firing squad for failed attempts, or long-term imprisonment for conspirators. While the death penalty remains in the Nigerian legal system, executions are rare, with few occurring after 2016, despite a significant number of inmates on death row. This is not unconnected with the advancement of democracy and active civil advocacy. With investigations concluded and the military recommending trial before a military judicial panel, Nigerians and the rest of the world will be keen to see how this plays out. Ferdinand Duroha, Arise News.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu is in Turkey on a state visit. The presidency insists is strategic, not routine. His special advisor on policy communication made the remark on the president's arrival in Ankara on Monday as preparations begin for bilateral talks and official engagements. State House correspondent Adesua Omoran reports.
President Bola Tinubu touched down in Ankara on Monday, beginning a state visit to the Republic of Turkey, his first to the country since assuming office. He was received by Turkish and Nigerian officials at the airport and his hotel, marking the start of engagements aimed at deepening bilateral relations between both countries. The visit comes nearly 5 years after Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan paid an official visit to Nigeria in 2021. A relationship the presidency now describes as strategic. Foreign trips by Nigerian leaders often raise questions back home about costs and tangible benefit. I asked the president's special advisor on policy communication why this visit matters.
The president just arrived moments ago, but there are a lot of expectations when it comes to traveling and benefits back at home.
Right.
What should Nigerians be looking forward to with this trip, or is it just another trip?
No, it's not another trip. It's a strategic trip. First of all, it's an invitation by this government because, of course, you know, the president of Nigeria was a leader of ECOWAS. He's a person of influence in Africa. Nigeria also has a strong force in Africa, and with the exceptional breakthrough that we're having in all fields in Nigeria, in the economy, area of security, politics and all that. So the president showed up today for the state visit, and we're looking to the program probably starting from tomorrow. We'll look at those areas of possibilities that the two parties are going to explore, especially in the area of defense, security, in the area of economy. In fact, we have the ministers of the various fields that we intend to have bilateral talks on. They are also on this trip and ready to go.
The visit also follows President Tinubu's recent trip to Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. Bwala highlights how Turkey fits into Nigeria's wider engagement with the Middle East.
He's a very influential leader that world leaders know. Of course, you must be aware of the relationship between Nigeria and the U.S. following the little problem we had before. That's because of the personality and the leadership that the president brings on board. So most of these leaders, especially we just, like you said, we finished with the United Arab Emirates and now with the government and the people of Turkey. Of course, historically, they are good in the area of security. They also have the capacity to produce weapons that are key and critical to what we need. We also have areas where we've been of help to them. If you look at Turkey-Nigeria relationship over the years, you will see investment by the Turkish people, Turkish government in Nigeria. You see also the value Nigerian people and the Nigerian government has over the years brought to the Republic of Turkey. And so this is a shared meeting for shared interests, and also a meeting that we're looking to, at the end of the day, we will give you information as to the deliverables of what will come out of it.
For the Tinubu administration, the challenge will be translating these diplomatic engagements into measurable economic and security gains back home. From Ankara, Turkey, Adesua Omoruan, Arise News.
Well, let's cross live now to Ankara, Turkey, where Arise State House correspondent Adesua Moran joins us on the show to discuss the significance of Tinubu's state visit to Turkey. Good morning, Adesua. Thanks for joining us on the morning show. Adesua?
Good morning, Ayo, Dr. Bati, and Rufai.
Excellent.
Morning, Adesua.
All right, so Adesua, the president is now in Ankara, like we just watched your report. What's the significance of this visit, and what should we be watching for today?
Thank you very much, Ayo. What is important to understand is that this visit is being framed as a strategic one and not a ceremonial stop. And the presidency says it is a set of narrow, focused priorities, particularly I hate to interrupt, but if the MCR can help me, because I can hear feedback, I can hear myself speak. So, like I said, the presidency says this focus is on a set of narrow priorities, particularly defense, security corporations, and investments, with ministers on ground to push sector-specific engagements rather than broad engagements, Ayo. And what to look forward to today would include the meetings between President Bola Tinubu and his host, President Erdogan, to be quickly followed by expanded conversations by officials, top officials of both nations, and a joint press briefing expected later in the day, which should give early indication of how specific outcomes are and truly what should follow next.
So, but Nigerians are used to those frequent trips for this administration. What's meant to make this one different?
Rufai, this is the second state visit in 2026. And those concerns around cost, efficiency, and substance of these trips regarding the president's frequent visits, continue to arise whenever the president departs Nigeria for a trip. And I put that question directly to the special advisor to the president on arrival last night to Ankara. And his answer was that this is not a routine visit, largely because we're having diplomatic, political, economic, and defense tracks at once, addressing current realities back at home. But having said that, Rufai, what happens after Ankara will largely be viewed as successful if it is concrete, if those deals translate into jobs and economic prosperity for Nigerians back at home, because beyond announcements, Nigerians will want to see substance. How do these dotted inks on paper on foreign land translate to improvements, for instance, in security in this instance, because that's a focus here in Ankara? How does it translate to improved security back at home?
Our Edo Queen, from Lagos to Abuja, and now you are in Turkey. May you always continue to rise and shine. But basically, I would like to ask you, why Turkey and this relationship with the Middle East? Sunday Dari, special advisor to the president on media, wrote a piece today, back page of this day newspaper, where I was saying, oh, this is strategic, it's about trade, it's about partnership, but why is Turkey important to Nigeria? And you are looking good. Yeah, very good.
Thank you very much, Pastor Dr. Reuben Abachi, for your prayers, and it's always good to speak to you. Yes, so why Turkey? Dr. Abachi, geopolitics as we know it is evolving very rapidly. We're seeing protectionism and tariffs become foreign policy language, particularly, and no thanks to US President Donald Trump. Turkey sits at the intersection of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. In fact, Istanbul is said to be one of the cities in the world, if not the only one, that sits on two continents as a city in one country. But beyond that, Turkey is also the 17th largest economy in the world, with a GDP of $1.32 trillion, a member of the G20, a founding member of the OECD nations, and Nigeria is seeking to diversify its partnerships, particularly under the Bola Tinubu administration. We have seen intentions by this administration to go beyond traditional allies to emerging partners. And it does look like a recalibration, engaging more and increasing conversations and collaborations with the Gulf nations, those President Trump himself have described as the wealthiest countries in the world, talking about Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. And you will see President Bola Tinubu in his travel engagements seems to have prioritized those Gulf nations, and now we're seeing Turkey. Just to add that this is the first visit of President Tinubu to Turkey since he became president in 2023. Also, Turkey has become a strong global competitive country when it comes to defense manufacturing, and it is exporting particularly drones for security, intelligence. And with Nigeria facing multiple fronts of security challenges, many analysts will tell you, Dr. Bati, that such collaborations between Nigeria and Turkey at this time could mean a lot. It could mean skills acquisition, transfer of intelligence, instead of having boots on the ground, access to those technology that would help fight this insecurity across Nigeria, Dr. Bati. So Turkey, the Middle East, it does look like a recalibration, not a pivoting from regular partners, but expanding that relationship, because again, geopolitics is evolving very rapidly, and you do not want to depend on allies that are not dependable.
Thank you very much, Adesoa, for bringing us an update, and also what to look out for today as the president continues his state visit to Turkey. We look forward to speaking to you again, and of course you giving us more details as it emerges.